Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Making the Rounds. Today we have two very new guests on the show. Say hello, Dark.
Why do I have to be new? I'm old.
You're old in the sense of the podcast, but you're new when it comes to this wonderful show called Making the Rounds.
I feel like I'm starting over now, though.
Don't worry about it. It's good.
Fine.
It's good. And we also have another new guest, Chris. What's up, man?
Hi, how's it going?
Pretty good. So, today we are going to be reviewing Zootopia, a new movie out that is a great movie. I'm gonna give you guys a synopsis, and then I'm gonna pass the baton/vibrator to Dark.
That's
then
right.
Then he's gonna pass the dildo to Chris, and then it's gonna get back to me, and then I'm gonna wash it. All right. In a world populated by anthropomorphic mammals, Judy Hopps, a rabbit from rural Bunnyboro, fulfills her dream of becoming the first rabbit officer in the police department of a nearby city, Zootopia. However, upon arrival, she is assigned parking duty by Chief Bogo, an African buffalo, who doubts her potential due to her diminutive size, being a bunny and all. During one of her shifts, she meets Nick Wilde, a con artist fox. And with that, take it away, Dark, about your review for Zootopia Pretty Place.
All right, well, you pretty much covered the synopsis part of the story, so I'll just jump right into the characters section, because I really, really liked the character of Judy Hopps. She's voiced by Jennifer Goodwin. Anyone that watches Once Upon a Time like I do will instantly recognize her. And she plays Snow White from Once Upon a Time. But she did such a good job of kind of capturing the, big dreamer in a small town and kind of good-natured, but can still, knows that she's just not quite up to doing a lot of the stuff that a lot of the bigger animals do. In fact, she kind of reminded me of my mother. So, my mother's kind of a short person. And, one day she, had to move the refrigerator across the room. And so she, managed to, edge it onto this little rug and then scoot it across the floor that way. And I'm like, why are you doing it that way? She's like, because I'm not like you and I can't just pick the damn thing up and move it across the room. I've got to improvise. And you see a lot of that in her character. She's got to go through a lot of trials, like in the police academy, that type of thing. And she can't do the same things that a lot of the other bigger animals can do. So she has to improvise, do it her own way. And as such, she winds up coming to being the number one, trainee in her class. And she takes that with her. So I thought that was a really good, I think it was just a really good character in general, especially if she's going to be the main character and the main role model. Because this is an animated show, so therefore, unfortunately, it means it's going to be geared more towards children. So it's a good role model for children. Even though if you can't do something one way, use your brain, think about it, and you might be able to accomplish the same thing, just a different way. And, a couple of the other characters, Nick Wilde, he's the other main, he's the fox that winds up working with Judy Hopps. He's voiced by Jason Bateman, and he pretty much is himself in fox form, which works just fine. You don't need him to be anything else. A couple other guys that are in the characters, Mayor Lionheart, voiced by J.K. Simmons. You see him in Spider-Man, awesome. Just absolutely loved him. He's apparently carnivores are in the minority in this world, and so him being mayor over a bunch of other he's working with a sheep, and he's big and impressive, and he scares people, kind of intimidates them, but you get the feeling he doesn't really mean to. That's just kind of how he is. And he does such a good job of being this big fuzzy kitty cat that kind of is a little bit dangerous, but is totally trying to play up the whole, no, I'm cuddly and I'm nice and I'm fair. And then as far as music goes, don't really remember much about the score, but there was one song that they pretty much played in two different parts. That was sung by Shakira. She's this gazelle diva thing.
Yeah.
And I really liked the song, actually. I thought it went really, really well with the character of Judy Hopps, and in general, just a good message, kind of along the lines of, I'm going to fail over and over and over again, but that's okay. I'm just going to keep on trying until I get it right. And what was the other? That theme was in something else too. I don't remember which one it was now. It was another show that I really liked, where it's like, yeah, you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail a lot, and that's okay. Oh, Meet the Robinsons. That's what it was. It was from Meet the Robinsons, where it's like, yeah, every mistake you make, it's just one step towards getting it right. So congratulations on your mistake there. And then as far as themes go, oh my god, this is probably my favorite part about the movie, the themes. It touches on a lot of, very delicately, very tastefully, lots of subjects of racism, bigotry, acceptance, and I thought it was incredibly relevant, especially like in this particular year where it's being released and you have someone like Donald Trump like spouting pretty much hate speech about different minority groups, and people are like, yeah, and it's a message that you see a lot in children's movies, but I don't know, just because like you see so much hatred being spouted out on TV right now, it's a reminder that yes, people still need to be reminded that, hey, you need to be nice to other people. You need not judge them. You need to, remember that everybody else is a person just like you. And just a really good message in general, but I thought, given the times that we are in right now with the election and everything, it was especially poignant.
That's awesome. So, Dirk, we don't do number-based scoring here because art is subjective. Would you recommend this movie to a friend?
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
In fact, I'm trying to go see it again. I need to drag someone with me so I can go see it again.
That's awesome. Go ahead, Chris. It's all you.
All right. Well, my thoughts on like the characters and stuff. I mean, Dark said it like perfectly. Like the characters are great. Judy Hopps voiced perfectly by Jennifer Goodwin, but like the voices in this type of movie were spot on. In many animated films, like Frozen or anything that has human characters, it's easy to just pick somebody to voice a character and it just works because who cares? You're human, the character's human, it just works. In this one, they had to really think about, okay, they're animals, we need to fit their animal style with a human voice, and the people they picked were perfect. Like J.K. Simmons as a lion. J.K. Simmons has like this really robust and royal sounding voice, and with lions being like the king of all of like the animal kingdom, it just worked so perfectly. Idris Elba as a water buffalo or something like that.
Yeah, Chief Bogo.
Yeah. That was perfect. Jennifer Goodwin as a rabbit was perfect. They just did it so well, and like the voice acting in this, I think was better than most movies that I've seen recently, on the animated side. And it's also a Disney film. It's from the same people who made Frozen and Wreck-It Ralph, and it's so nice to see that Disney can make a animated movie that doesn't have to involve singing all the time. And because really the only I only remember the Shakira song in that movie, which I was like, why is Shakira in this movie? But it worked. But I remember that song mainly because of like the app that they had on their phones, that they would just place the person's head on the body dancing next to it. Like you just see these like big burly predators putting this,
and they were getting into
heads.
it.
Yeah, like Chief Bogo was getting so into it. It was hilarious. And I saw tweets of people in real life putting their heads on the thing dancing next to Gazelle. So I thought that was the only reason I remember that song. But coming from an animation background, I really want to talk about the animation. And like it was phenomenal. Like you don't know how difficult it is to animate something that has 4 legs. It's very hard to animate that, and sure they are anthropomorphic, but they're still four-legged creatures, and like it's really difficult to make it like feel right, because they do some animations where they're on four legs, and it's just beautiful how they just made it work so well with the style of anthropomorphizing everything else. Like, it really says something about an animation studio when they can apply two totally different animation styles to one character and have it work both ways. So like I thought that it was great. I thought like from an art background, I took animation in school. I know about the lighting and whatever. The lighting was phenomenal. They would go through different like sections of the city that had like a winter theme or something like that, like a jungle theme, and it like the lighting is so hard to do in a movie, especially an animated film, because you're making your own lights. You're not just like placing a light somewhere and like moving it around. You're making the lights. You are the god of the movie, and it's hard to get it all correct, especially with a bunch of different scenery like that you're just quickly moving through. So I thought that was fantastic. The character animations were fantastic. The character models were fantastic as well. Like everything was believable. It's hard to believe that something that usually on four legs in our mind can work on two legs, but I had no issue with it the entire movie. So like, that's what I had to say about the movie. I thought it was fantastic, and to answer the question that you're about to ask, I would definitely recommend it to every single person in the world.
Awesome. That's so glad to hear. This movie, like you said, both of you guys have eloquently put how amazing the voice acting is, and how the voice acting director chose the voices based on how they sound. Like Chris made a reference to J.K. Simmons and how he sounds very royal and prestigious, so it only makes sense that he's given the lion role, and how Miss Goodwin is very the embodiment of the dreamer and the go-getter, and it just fits Judy Hopps so well. So my opinion about the characters is that all of them, I love Nick Wilde probably the most, because I've always enjoyed con men. I've always enjoyed that kind of aspect. There are a lot of TV series, or there was a TV series running called White Collar, which is about a con man who helps the FBI agents catch other con men. So I always liked con men because they were the only thing that they have is their words as a weapon. So it's really cool to see that character being developed. I also really love the redemption. This is going to be a little spoiler. Also, spoilers are going to happen.
Oh, good.
So beware.
Oh, good. Yes.
Just because we want to talk about that kind of stuff.
That was going to be my next
question. There was a redemption story. Yeah, no worries. The redemption story for Gideon, awesome, so good. Like, it's so cool. Like, it just shows that the themes about this story are very true, and they don't beat you over the head with it. It's like Gideon started out as a bully because he was a fox. Everyone, he thought he could pick on people, and then he becomes the best baker in the county, and he serves up some pies when Judy Hopps was feeling down, and then she has this breakthrough. But that's a different time. So that's how I feel about the story and themes. The music, like everybody else, the score I felt was more reactionary, and it wasn't very rememberable. The one thing that stood out, I should say, was the Shakira song, and that came into play when the beginning of the movie, when Judy was first going to the city, and later on as things got a little dicier, I guess species-wise, between the prey and the predators. So there's the music. I did the characters and the story. Would I recommend this to a friend? Abso-fucking-lutely, I would. It's a great movie. It's a solid animation, wonderful, wonderful voice acting, pretty good score, not the best, but pretty good, and lots of amazing references. So now I guess we're going to talk about Zootopia as a whole, guys, as a collaborative here. We're going to make the rounds. Did you guys get the Breaking Bad references, like, at all in the movie?
Not particularly. I figure if there are any Breaking Bad references, it has to do with them cooking up that drug that's going to make the carnivores go feral. And by the way, I loved the animation on all the carnivores as they went feral, like, because they did such a good job of like making all the other animals human, that when they revert back to their like almost like rabid animal, like they genuinely were scary looking. I could totally understand, like, even like other carnivores who see one of these feral animals is like, I'm afraid. I am actually terrified out of my mind.
Yeah.
Like, what? And they're like, what's wrong with them? I'm like, I almost felt really bad. Like with the otter after he goes feral, and then his wife finally sees him, and she's like, that's not my husband. And just the despair. I'm like, holy shit. Oh, so good.
Yeah. And it's just this movie. It just stands out amongst so many other animated films as of late. Like you said, Frozen. Not a big fan of Frozen. At first, I mean, there are some technical things about it, and the music was okay, but I feel like I just got tired of the whole musical thing for me. So, like Chris said earlier, I really like the aspect of Disney hey, we can make movies that don't have music or sing-alongs in them.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a really strong point for Disney right now, because they've done the princess thing to death. They've done the musical thing. I don't want to say to death, because I fucking love musicals, but variety is always welcome, and this was definitely welcome.
Mm-hmm. It really brought me back to Wreck-It Ralph, which was, I think, their last film that they did that wasn't like a musical type anything. And I love Wreck-It Ralph. It's one of my top probably 5 to 10 animated films of all time. But It's like, well, yes, being a huge video game nerd, I understand like all the references, and like it doesn't just say anything about like the film itself. It's like it's a lot about my life as well, because I love video games, and I thought it had a great story. But back to Zootopia, I think that this one, if anybody ever says that this movie is too hyped, they are wrong. It was a beautiful story, perfect acting. I mean, it's like you can't really. It even had a twist at the end. Like I thought the movie was just over at a point, and then it was just like, wait, but there's no real resolution here. So like they had to add more, and it was like, and it was an hour and 45 minutes long, which is kind of long for an animated movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's
didn't even notice it. I totally wasn't keeping track of time.
No, yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah.
It was the perfect length, and it was amazing. It was just a really great film, and I wanted to stay in the theater and watch it again right afterwards.
Yeah, there's so many great moments, like, and not to sound like just a super emotional person. I really identified with Judy, because it was so cool to see. Like, it was sort of like our generation, kind of, in a way. Like, she represented our generation, where it's like, we're gonna try. I want to try. I don't care if I fail. I want to try and do what I want to do, and I want to accomplish my dreams and that kind of thing. It was very much the idealist.
I loved her parents too, as they're talking with her, like, you can't do that. Bunnies just can't do it, and they're like, we settled. That's why we're so happy, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're so like convinced. Like, you can tell they're like not really happy. Like, their subtle emotional expressions as they're saying it give it away that they know they settled and they wish they hadn't, but like they're so convinced that they are happy that they settled, and they're happy because they settled, that they're like, come on, you don't really want to do that. And then like when she gets assigned to parking duty, and they're like, wait a minute, what are you wearing, when she's FaceTiming them, and like, oh, you're a parking attendant. Oh,
thank God,
good.
You're not a real cop.
Oh God, I would hate that shit so much.
They were so relieved, and she was so embarrassed.
Yep.
Like, that's spot on, because like any real parent would be the exact same way. Like, oh good, my baby's not going to be shot at today.
Yeah. All the characters were very believable, and it's just a good movie, guys.
Yeah, I think it does a good job of like helping you, especially with the job that I have in customer service. It's easy for me to get jaded when it comes to people, and I'll say all the time, like, oh my god, I hate people. But this is a movie that reminds you that even with someone who may be like ignorant and racist, there is always like damage behind that, like the little fox character at the beginning. And then when you meet him at the end where he started to make pies, he's like, yeah, I just want to apologize for my behavior as a child. He's like, I had a lot of issues, and I've worked through them, and I'm happy with what I'm doing now, and I'm just sorry. And like, I found that very refreshing. Like,
yeah, and he talked about his repressed rage. Like, he went to go see a therapist of some variety, it was on a level in which like he dealt with his issues and analyzed them on a enlightened level.
And
that's Gideon, yeah.
And I know so many people my age, not so much the younger millennials, but the older ones, my age, and then my parents' generation, especially with men, they often feel like, to a certain extent, you're allowed to feel two emotions. You're allowed to feel anger, and you're allowed to feel not anger. And that's not a very healthy way of dealing with life and, living around and with other people. And especially,
agreed.
Like, you have to be able to empathize with people and, feel things other than just anger and not anger. And it's kind of touching on that. Like, look, it's okay for you to get in touch with your inner feelings. Like, if you're feeling angry, there's a reason for that, and you should probably seek help. It's like, there's just so many subtle things in this movie that I think is just so good. Without being overly preachy, like, the whole time.
Exactly.
Never did I think, like, wow, it's not like Ferngully, where I love Ferngully, but it beats you over the head with a really crazy message, and it doesn't even make sense inside of its own world. But this movie, everything was so seamless, and the world was built so beautifully, and, like, all the characters were realized as real people. Like, even the twist ending, the character who winds up actually revealing themselves as the bad guy, you're like, you could totally understand why she did the thing that she did. And
yeah.
You're like, yeah, I can see that. And you totally did. You went about, trying to get justice the wrong way, but I see where you came from. And even then, like, as that's a surprise twist, like, yeah, that was a very surprisingly fleshed out character.
Chris, do you have any notes you want to add before we wrap up?
Gosh, I feel like there's been so much that's been said.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, I don't know. Just go see the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, go see it. If you've seen the movie, go see it.
Yeah, see it.
I mean,
just keep seeing it.
Yeah, it's worth all the money that you're gonna put into it.
Yeah, it definitely does not give itself away in the trailers. In fact, I didn't even want to see it with the first trailer. I'm like, what? This looks weird.
That's actually something I want to talk about. The first trailer was all Jason Bateman, so it was like, I was talking to my brother about this because he saw it too. He's like, I think he thought that the movie was supposed to be totally different, and that Jason Bateman was supposed to be the main character, and in the first, after the first one, they made like some decision that said, "Oh, we're gonna make the rabbit the main character now." So like,
that would have been way too expensive to just change willy nilly like that, I think.
So then, why do you think they made Jason Bateman talk about it?
Because he's a recognizable name.
I think that they were intentionally misleading. Like, Disney's gotten really smart as of late, and they saw what happened with Frozen and like with the whole like the debacle that happened with The Good Dinosaur, and how like so many people went to see it and were like, what is this? So they're trying to be a little bit more careful with the way they market their own stuff. And I think they knew. I think they genuinely knew that this was something special that they had to work on, and they're like, let's not advertise the shit out of this in the same way we normally would, because if you overhype a movie, people are going to hate you when it doesn't live up to all their expectations.
Definitely. And another thing is the second trailer with the Panther attack. I thought that's what the main focus was, but the Panther didn't come in until like an hour into the movie. So I really like the fact that they revealed how the world operates and how the characters act in the second trailer, but at the same time, they didn't reveal a lot of the main pacing and story points
Oh, dude.
in that second trailer. So I was genuinely happy about being surprised about all the things that happened.
So, speaking of the world that everything takes place in, was I the only one who like wanted the camera to like stop and be like, "Hey, I want to like walk around down in some of these areas?" Because holy shit, the amount of world building that they did for this, it felt like a real living, breathing place.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, if you look at a lot of movies, especially animated movies, you have like set pieces here and there, and like you're like, okay, I kind of get the feeling of the world, but this place, it genuinely felt like if a movie takes place in New York, you kind of have this whole image of, okay, this is where everything's kind of laid out, this is where Manhattan is, this is where this is where that is. They did that for this movie. They made it feel like a real place in a real world, even though it's neither, and that was hella impressive.
It was. And my thing is, like, if this movie gets enough traction, like, in the box office, which I'm sure it has anyway, but just internationally, Disney may add some Zootopia characters into their Disney XD movie, or their movie game, their video game, where you can, like, there's each movie character from all the different Disney movies that they own, like, even including Star Wars, has their own world that you can play in. So that'd be kind of cool to hop around as, Judy Hopps, or,
in what
get
game?
into a police car. It's called Disney XD. It's Disney Infinity. No, excuse me, not XD. It's a Disney Infinity, where, like, you can play as Buzz Lightyear, Jack Skellington.
I'm pretty sure they already have Judy Hopps in there.
Oh, really?
I'm going to check right now.
That's dope.
So,
and with that, I feel like
I do have one more question.
No, go for it.
Do you guys have any criticism about the movie?
The music could have been better, and I felt like they tacked on Shakira sometimes at the beginning, anyway, until it was later revealed like she's trying to support diversity, and it's because of her dancers. Her dancers are predators, and she wants to stand up for her friends and what Zootopia really means, but at the same time, I feel like she shouldn't have been the main musical focus.
She kind of reminded me a bit of Lady Gaga with what was the big thing that was happening, and she was like imploring everybody to not exchange violence for violence, but be strong and take a stand. Her speech about that, and like, this is not the Zootopia I knew, kind of reminded me a lot of like kind of like what Lady Gaga did, where she's trying to be a spokesperson while at the same time being a celebrity. Yeah, yeah.
That song. Oh, and look at that. Damn straight. Disney Infinity 3.0 edition is going to have playable characters Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Playable environments include the Sahara. That's rad, because we didn't get to see much of the Sahara, so that'll be cool to explore in the game as well.
So the only criticism I had of the movie is I thought that they relied a little too heavily on stereotypes, and I understand why they had to do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like with the cheetah eating the donuts, and it never says if he's a gay really character chubby. Or not, but it's like they kind of like mushed a couple stereotypes in together. And what was the hippie nudist buffalo?
The Chong.
It's like, I understand why they stereotypes exist for a reason, and they're really helpful with movies, but at the same time, it's like, I think we could have been a little bit more classier here, guys. Like, the rest of the movie like lands so well, like it sticks its landing perfectly, but there was just a couple small moments in there where I'm like, oh, not sure that worked that well.
Yeah, I can understand that, and that's like diving way deep into the movie. Like, that's like, because the movie was so great, you're trying to, like, I'm not saying like you in particular, but just people in general who would make the same criticisms. It's almost like there's not really a whole lot to critique in a way, because
no, there really isn't.
They're trying.
No.
Yeah. What about you, Chris? Do you have any criticisms for the movie?
No, not really. I'd have to see it again. Like, the first time I see a movie is like, it's like an eye-opening thing. I just enjoy the movie. Like, the second time I see it, like, I start looking into it a bit more. So I don't really have many criticisms other than I didn't like the Shakira song, but
yeah, that's fair.
But I thought it was fine for me. Very funny. And I think that's something we didn't touch on. It was really funny. It was a
Genuinely.
funny movie. Like, yeah. They didn't force jokes on you. It was like, it felt like that's how the world just worked, and the world was funny because of that.
Yes, the whole movie was not that damn sloth joke like the original trailer was about. I think that's one of the reasons why I found the movie as lovable as I did, because I saw that trailer and I had in my mind like, oh, is this the style of comedy they're going for the whole thing? Like, no, that's only that one scene, and a lot of the comedy is way smarter. So I was very, very happy about that. It's genuinely funny throughout, and it balances the drama that it has going on with the comedy very well. That's what makes it so believable.
Definitely. And with that, we'll conclude our episode of Making the Rounds. Thank you so much for joining us, Chris and Dark. I hope to see you some other episode. And
I make no promises.
Fair enough. And for those who are watching and have listened to this episode, if you like the video, leave us a like. It helps us out a lot. If you have anything you want to say, you can always contact us anywhere on our social media, whether it be Twitter or in the comment section below. And I hope you guys have a magical day. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.